Good morning and afternoon, everyone. This is Kathryn Troutman from the Resume Place in Baltimore, Maryland. It is February 4th, and this is the very first class to the Certified Federal Job Search Trainer and Certified Federal Career Coach program. Today, we're going to be having a 90-minute webinar that's going to concentrate on USAJOBS and how to apply for a job with USAJOBS. I decided to start our webinar with the really important part of applying for a federal job, which is USAJOBS. So the program is a 10 steps to a federal job program, but since we have just 90 minutes, I decided to segment our two 90-minute webinars into two specific curriculum, and the first one is USAJOBS. Now, this is a PowerPoint here that you are going to be licensed to use yourself. You'll be able to teach 10 steps to a federal job to classes small and large, and you will be able to teach this and copy the PowerPoints. I'll be sending you books and all of the other information to help you to teach 10 steps to a federal job. So today we're going to have two parts. The first part is going to be me. I'm Kathryn Troutman, and I am the designer and developer of this curriculum. I created it in 2002, right after 9/11, when so many people wanted to get a federal job that I thought, oh, I've got to come up with a formula. There has to be a formula to handle federal job search, because I can't just speak this through to every person who wants a federal job. So I created the 10-step curriculum. And so that's what I am doing, teaching the certification program and writing books and helping people one at a time. So at around 45 minutes, Emily Troutman is going to come on the line, and she is going to be going live to USAJOBS and continuing with the class until 9:30. So let's get started here with step number 8, applying for federal jobs. And there's two parts. The first part is getting ready on USAJOBS, and the second part is applying for the job. A lot of people don't realize that there's two parts to the federal application online. I think one of the trickiest parts to the entire USAJOBS is this password. Sometimes I teach classes and we have computers, and one half of the class can't remember their password and says that they can't access it, and they've written USAJOBS. So please write down your password and be ready to go with your application. And it's kind of complicated, so write it down. There's a whole profile system that you have to set up. So if you're coaching someone to go federal, you've got to just say straight away, all right, go to USAJOBS and get that password done and create your profile. It's going to take you a half an hour, and you have to do this ahead of time. People have no idea that there are a number of screens that they need to fill out before they can ever apply for a job. And that's why we have steps 8 and 9 in our 10 steps to a federal job. So when I'm coaching people, I say, do you have an account yet? If you don't, you need to do that while we talk about your resume and get that done now. You can use your work address or your home address. Maybe the home address might be better so that it doesn't change. Recently, all the government people seem to have changed their emails, and that's kind of a pain in the neck. And you may not remember that your USAJOBS account is hooked to an email that isn't working anymore, so beware of that. And then you're going to answer all kinds of eligibility questions when you are setting up your profile. Just be sure that you answer them all. The people who you're going to coach, the family members, are probably not affiliated with an agency, or if they are, they need to be careful how they put down Department of State and the name of their agency, Foreign Service, if they're GS or if they're not, whatever their pay plan is. So they may have questions for you on their eligibility. And then, of course, documentation is just really important for government. They've got to work on this ahead of time. If you have a family member who is on orders, that document may need to be added, transcripts, military DD-214. So all of these documents should get done ahead of time, and don't wait for that application date. And when I showed you that article a few minutes ago, it said that announcements can close early. because they can. They can close down after they receive 100 applications or 200 applications. So getting ready to go government means setting up your USAJOBS account with these documentation. And then you can put a name of your document and upload it. And if they say that they need the documents, they really do. You will be ineligible. Let's say you apply for a job that requires a degree. If the transcript isn't in there, then you will not be able to apply. And here's the veterans documents that are so important. Veterans preference, you would check off whatever applies for you, and I'm going to show you the profile in USAJOBS Live in just a minute with more screens that you would need to fill out. Certain overseas employees is where your family members would check off right there, the fourth one down, if they are working overseas, and that would give them that priority program that we're going to talk about in our class in Budapest. Be sure that you check off that you want to receive emails from these applications. They will send you an email if it's closed. They'll send you an email if you've got 3 days, or if there's the announcement is closed for some reason early, they'll send you an email. A lot of times when I coach people, they tell me that I haven't heard a word from anyone, and you know that isn't really right to say that, because they need to check this off in their profile, and then they would be getting these notices from OPM or from the agency. So thanks, Amy, for that note because of everybody's system. Thanks a lot. We do have 14 people signed up in the class. We do have Bert Curtis, who is overseas. She's here listening. Thank you, Bert, for taking a few minutes out to listen to the class. And hopefully we're going to begin federal job search here. So this is my account page here. Can you all write in the question box if you have a USAJOBS account now? Say yes, no, yes, no. Do you have a USAJOBS account now? And tell me if you do or not, so that I'll know. The answers are coming in. They're saying no, 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 yes, 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 no. All right, well, guess you know what you're going to do, don't you? Yes. Yes, I do. Oh, Joan plans to. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, Joan does have one. Well, let's see. We have 50% no and 50% yes. Well, I want you to set up your own USAJOBS account with a profile and username, password, so that you have the experience of it yourself, and then you'll be able to coach other people in doing this. It will take you a solid 30 minutes to get through the username, password, and the profile, and then when you get to this page, which is the Builder page, I do want you to put your resume into the USAJOBS Builder. Joan says she's not sure she remembers her password. Well, that's okay. Between now and Budapest, you'll have to figure it out or set a new one up. That sounds fine. But I'd like you to be able to navigate USAJOBS with your own account so that you can call jobs. Inez says she has a call jobs account. Is that the same as USAJOBS? No, no. Oh, she says California jobs. No, that's not the same. That's a state job site. We need usajobs.gov and set up your account. And here is the resume page. There are fields for 5 separate resumes in there. Carol says don't use your state.gov email to set up. Use a personal email. Thank you, Carol. I agree with that. Use your personal email because the state government could change, and anyway, it's better just use your own personal email. I did get a question last evening about should a person have more than one account in USAJOBS, and in order to have many resumes in there, and I wrote back and I said no, you should have one account with one email, and you can have up to 5 resumes. Slides, she says the slides are not moving. She's on 13. Let me go back and see what happens. Okay, Sean, are they moving now? Let's see. Okay, all right, they're moving now. Okay, so here's the builder page. Now, check out resume 1. It says MSW Veterans. So this is an MSW resume that I have in here in my account, and you all can set up your account with various resumes. You could have a family member, you could have you know, different kinds of, maybe an administrative sample, your own resume, an IT sample. These are all sample resumes that I have in here, and I'll show you the account live. Be sure that you name your resumes the right name. So for your resume, you would name it whatever your job title is so that you can remember which resume is which. This is a sample of all the documents that you would put into your account. And non-competitive eligibility would require certain documents, and I will be asking Amy, maybe Amy, you can tell us what documents a family member would need to qualify for the eligibility program that we're going to be teaching you. So we'll get more information on that soon. So here's a bridge page. This is a page that takes you to where you actually apply for a job. Remember I said in the very beginning that there's 2 parts to this application process. One part is the resume in USAJOBS, and the other part is actually applying for a job. Well, this is what I call the bridge page. This is where you click and you select which resume you're going to submit, and then you go to the next page and you start answering questions. And here is the question page, and this is I'm on slide 17 now. See if you can see that, Angela. I guess the slides are just moving a little bit slow today. So Angela, can you see slide 17? I'm on that one now. And this is kind of a scary page here because it shows how many screens, not yet. Carol doesn't see it yet. Let me go backwards and forwards again. Okay, let's try that. Frozen on slide 11. That's not good. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm on 11 now. $12. Okay, hold on just a second. I will make a change. Just 1 minute. Okay, that's slide 12 now. Can you see slide 12? Okay, good. You can see slide 12. All right, okay, this is the main page. Very good, thank you. Okay, so this is my main page in USAJOBS. This is a page where you can see my account, Kathryn Troutman here. And now we'll go up to 13, so I don't think you saw it. 13 is the USAJOBS page where you can have 5 resumes, and you can see all of the different formats and how I titled them differently, MSW, IT Specialist, and you can choose the name of your resume. This is a really cool page because most of the application pages where you might apply for a job, if it's Westinghouse or any major company, you can only have 1 resume in there at a time. So this is really awesome that you can have more resumes in here. And this is just remind you of the different documents that you need to put in ahead of time. And family members might have documents that they would need to upload. And then this is a bridge page I was talking about where you have to select your resume that you want to go forward with. And to prove EMS should use their SF50s. The SF50 document, and Emmy is writing this, the SF50 document will show that they were, an EFM was hired under the family member appointment and worked for 52 weeks or longer. So Amy says she'll send the link with frequently asked questions after the webinar. And we're going to talk a lot more about this in our class. So this is the page where you select your resume to go forward. And this is what you see sometimes, and it's a little bit scary because all of the fields and pages are on the left here, section 1, 2, 3. These are all pages that you will need to fill out. The first time you fill out the application manager, you will have to add your Social Security number, as surprising as that is. And so you will have to add that in. And it's kind of surprising, but you will have to type it in there, and you only have to do it one time, and it will save from then on. So that's a good news. And then you'll have to fill out all the rest of the fields that are there. Application Manager is the largest application system, and it's owned and managed by OPM. You'll see all kinds of different ones. You can, at the very end, upload documents also, as well as over there at USAJOBS, but a lot of times they will forward from USAJOBS to Application Manager. And then here's an all-important button, the Submit button. And I was coaching a lady the other night on her application, and she was using another form and not using the Submit button. So I had to go online and help her to find the Submit button, because if she hadn't hit Submit, then she just would not have applied for the position. So that would not have been very good. Emily, are you there? Emily Troutman is on the line here. She can speak here in just a minute. So there are other automated recruitment systems as well to make it a little bit complicated. You're going to find the applicant questionnaires in all of the different systems. They call these ARS, Automated Recruitment Staffing Systems. Here's the look and feel for the TSA one. And it's blue, but it's the same. They have questions, more profile questions. That's the scary part, is it just seems really weird to have to answer many of the same questions as you just did in USAJOBS, and you might think, what? I just did all of that a few minutes ago, but whatever they ask for, you have to give them. This is what the staffing page looks like for Customs and Border Patrol. It's different from USA Staffing. So you're always going to come up with different kinds of applications. This is a screenshot of something that's coming along from OPM. It's the old civil service exam, and we haven't seen it for a while. I think they were doing a test with it, but if you do see this, just answer the questions and follow the directions. They just keep saying that, directions. And so here's a quiz, which you may not know the answer to yet because we just started our training. How many resumes can you put in your Builder account? And the answer is, Inez says 5. Yes, Inez, you got it. And then the next question here is very debatable. It says, is it better to upload your resume or build your resume in the Builder? So what do you think, you all? Do you think it's better to upload or build? What do you think? Carol says, can you do both? Sean says build. Jeremy says build. Angela says build. Oh, you guys are good. Build. You're right. How'd you know that? I didn't tell you that yet. Yes, it is better to build it. It's a more consistent format for USAJOBS, so that's why it's better to build. And I tell people that a lot. So we're going to do a couple of slides here from step number 9, and then I'm going to turn it over to Emily in just a minute here. Track and follow up is really excellent with USAJOBS. You can track and follow up, and a lot of people have no idea that they really can track and follow up. And this is a very, very important step so that you can manage your campaign. You can call HR when you haven't heard anything for 2 or 3 weeks. Here's a script that you could use to leave a message. You have to be very specific. You can find out your score online. You can send an email and ask what happened, and hopefully you'll hear back from them. And this is the application tracking page that you can look at to show your results. I guess people don't know that this is here, and that's why when I coach people, they say that I haven't heard a word. I've applied for 50 applications, and they don't know that they can go to this application tracking page, and when Emily goes live, she's going to show you how to find this. And that's why we have step 9 here in the 10 steps to a federal job, so that you can track and follow up and find out what happened with your applications. And this is an email that Mariano, one of my cases in the book, received. He wrote a nice note to HR and he found out that the application was forwarded to the selecting official, and please be patient, and you will hear something soon. So this is proof that you can write to the HR person. This is a sample of a result of someone applying for a federal job. The score here says he was applying for a special agent in 1811, and he got a score of 70, which is not that good, but he was qualified. But you don't think you're always going to see your score. You never can tell what you're going to see in your responses. But we put step 9 in the book so that you would know that you can track and follow up to find out what happened with your applications. It's very important for people to know what happened. Here's a conditional offer that one of my clients received. Oh, this is Mariano again. No, this is Jason. Jason received an offer by email. Just by email. He wrote to me and said, Kathryn, is this a scam? Is this real? He received this non-competitive appointment. So it was kind of exciting to receive a selection notification for this position in Idaho. So you might get that kind of a result. This is an email that Mariana received out of the blue. Looked just like this, and way down here in the tiny print it says, congratulations, you have been selected for this position. Isn't that crazy? He got a call, and this really difficult to read email says you were hired. And so he took the position, and then later he got another one. So surprise your emails. Really want to manage the email and make sure you receive all those notes from OPM and the agencies. And then here's the reason why, and we're going to talk way more about this when we are there in Budapest, and also next week Emily's going to be teaching federal resume writing, and these are the reasons why your resume may not get best qualified. We're going to talk about the questionnaire that's part of this application. You may not have scored yourself well enough to get best qualified. You might have checked off something in the profile and the questionnaire that made you ineligible. The resume may not have showed that you have the minimum qualifications. The resume might not have matched the questionnaire, and the resume might not have matched the specialized experience. Whew, that's why our class is 2 full days in Budapest and 2 webinars, right? These are all the reasons why your resume may not get best qualified. So that's a lot, isn't it? And those are really good. I have more. Those are the main reasons why a person might not get best qualified. And you can find out this information if you go into your application tracking system. So I believe that is my last slide for USAJOBS and applying for federal jobs, which is what our webinar is about today. And Emily, if you could take your mute off and say hi, that would be nice. And I want to turn over to you. Are you there? She's going to go live to USAJOBS. Good morning, Em. How you doing?
Hey, great. Do you want to go ahead and pass me the screen?
Yes, I will. I'm going to change presenter. And you can take it. You ready? You got USAJOBS on the screen?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Here you go. I'll be watching from over here. So let us know, everybody, in the question box if you can see Emily's screen. I can see it.
Great.
There we go. So this is Emily Troutman. Emily is my daughter, and she lives near Georgetown in D.C., and you can go ahead and introduce yourself and give your bio. You're going to see both of us in Budapest, and Emily is teaching the whole class next Thursday at 8 a.m. So I'm going to put myself on mute now, Emily, okay?
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Glad to see you guys. I'm not sure if... hopefully everybody can hear me. I think I've got everybody on the line here. Oh yeah, I see your names there. Okay, so I wanted to show you USAJOBS. So you saw the first half, which is the part about how to fill out your application and submit and stuff. But I want to show you about searching USAJOBS and looking for jobs online, and how we're going to basically use the instrument as we go looking for jobs. So I actually have a great thing to do here this morning, because I met a guy this weekend who's a friend of a friend. He's a veteran and had no idea that his veteran's preference could help him get a job in the federal government. So I was, telling him a few things that I could say just in an offhand way to kind of educate him about looking for jobs on USAJOBS. I don't know too much about him. He's maybe about 30-something years old. He told me that his expertise is in the Middle East and North Africa. He's essentially an analyst. Probably is good at writing, but that's basically all I know about him. I also know that he was in the Marine Corps for a long time. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I would search for somebody like this. And let's see. One thing I don't see are your questions. So
I'm here, Emily. I can see the questions, so
yeah,
I'll tell you what they are.
If you could go ahead and switch me to organizer, it might, if there's questions, then I'll get them unless you're going to be on the line.
I'm going to be on the line. It's okay.
Okay. All right, great.
All right.
So let me show you how I would go ahead and search USAJOBS. So the first thing that I did is that I searched MENA. That didn't bring up anything. Oh, look, one thing. So I'm searching for MENA. That's the acronym for Middle East and North Africa, and that's kind of like an insider way to look for it. And I'm refining my results here. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen. I've refined my results by U.S. citizens and federal employees. This guy, his name is Ed. He's not a federal employee. He's a veteran. Veterans can apply to many jobs that are only open to federal employees. So that's why I clicked it. I wanted to see what jobs were out there. So the first job that comes up is a Foreign Affairs Officer. So let's just take a look at it together, and let's see if we can understand a couple of things about this job. So you can see right here at the top in USAJOBS, there's 5 tabs. There's the overview of the job, the duties of the job, and it just basically takes you down inside the announcement, the qualifications, benefits, and how to apply. So this is a Foreign Affairs Officer, and the salary starts at $77,000 a year, goes up to $119,000 a year. Can anybody tell me what the series number is? Does anybody know what the series is? We haven't gotten here yet, so if you know, you're ahead of the class. What's the series number for this job?
Sean says GS. Oh, Amy, got it. 0130. Good work, Amy.
Yeah, so GS is the type of job that it is. It's in the general schedule. It's just a regular federal job. It's in the general schedule. And then the 0130 is the series number. So every single job title in government has a corresponding number that goes with it. So for Foreign Affairs Officer, which is a social sciences type job, the number is 0130. So that'll come in handy later when we search as well. So the pay level is the next part here, 12/13. So that means it's in the general schedule and it's 12/13. And it goes up to a 13. And we know what a GS 12/13 is because it tells us right here it's $77,000 to $120,000 a year in DC. Wow, so who can apply to this job? So this is kind of a complicated one. Status candidates, that means current federal employees. Non-competitive, so people who might have a disability, for example. Reinstatement eligibles, people who have served for at least 3 years in a competitive position. ICTAP and CTAP eligibles, so some of these folks who are coming from bases that have closed, and then eligible veterans. And it doesn't go into a lot of detail about any of those things, does it? It just throws 8 vocabulary words at us, and we're supposed to know what they are. So this is incredibly complex for people to understand whether they can or cannot apply, and a lot of the time that we spend together in Budapest, we spent on understanding what all of these components mean. Basically, what you can understand that it means is not just anybody can apply. This is a whole list of stuff. So if it says all U.S. citizens can apply, well, that's one thing. But this is a whole list of other things. So now this guy that I was talking to, he's a veteran. So let's see here. You are encouraged to read the entire announcement before you submit your application package. Your application will not get full consideration unless you follow the instructions. Yeah, I mean, they have to tell you that because the instructions are complicated. They really are, and that's why we are here. Because if it was easy, you wouldn't need us, right? It's not easy. It's really, really complicated. And when I spoke to that guy, Ed, this weekend, I didn't say anything like he should have known. There's no way to know. This is very complex. So let's look at the job summary. This position is located in the Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs, which I suppose is in DC, but it doesn't say if it's actually out there. The incumbent will serve as a foreign affairs officer responsible for some countries, press issues, public diplomacy programs, regional affairs that could affect everything. Gee, I can't imagine. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of regional affairs that happen in the Middle East that might affect the whole world. So elements of these programs may include political, multilateral, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then it says that the incumbent evaluates information. Well, so none of this really matters to me. The thing that I want to know, okay, occasional travel, periodic travel to embassies, that's fun. Got to take drug tests, good to know. What I want to look down at right here is the duties. So the duties are gathering information and data, preparing a bunch of documents, analyzing data, serving as a liaison. Those are all super generic, and I'm sure this guy could do them. Whether or not he has the qualifications, that's the question. So I want to look down at qualifications required. So the first thing is that you have to have a bachelor's degree in one of these things, or have taken 24 semester hours in one of those things, or have 12 semester hours in one of these things and 12 semester hours in statistics, or have a combination of education and experience where your coursework was equivalent to a major. So, boy, they just soften it up for each one. Or 4 years of work experience related to international organizations, problems, or other aspects of foreign affairs. Yeah, right there, that's called being a veteran. So qualifying work experience may have been gained through the military. See, it tells us right there. So you can see here, it started out with what we call positive education requirements. You must have a bachelor's degree. Actually, that's not true. You definitely do not have to have a bachelor's degree for this job. It says you just have to have 4 years of experience. So most jobs in the federal government don't require a degree, which people don't realize. This job is one of them. It makes it seem like you need a degree, and they front load a lot of that stuff, and that intimidates people. But actually for this job you don't need a degree. I suspect this guy has one, but actually I have no idea. So that's good to know. Now, if you want to apply, you have to submit transcripts as verification of education. So if you were going to apply and try and use your experience, you would have to really detail it out in a way that makes it obvious that you want it to apply to this section. So let's see here. If you're applying for the GS-12, in addition, you must do this. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to email my friend Ed here, and let me just go ahead and make a list here of all the things that he needs in order to get this job. So that's just the GS-12, and it says dealing with political or social issues, or economic, commercial, or cyber issues in the Middle East, drafting policy, talking points, papers, providing clear and concise advice. This is great. Reviewing and analyzing legislation, conducting routine coordination with other offices. That's all pretty generic analyst stuff. Let's look at the GS-13 here. The thing that is different is, one thing that's different, it says position papers for senior departmental officials, briefing senior departmental officials, and then in-depth analysis. I guess the rest is pretty much the same. Developing common positions or advocating a position. So very subtle differences here between the GS-12 and the GS-13. I really don't know whether or not that's something he's interested in, but let me just say You need this experience for the GS-12 and here for the GS-13. And let me just ask him a question at the top. Do you have a degree? So this is how we work with clients, and he's just a friend, not a client, but I wanted to show you how we do it in real life. We just basically go through this announcement and look exactly for this, because this right here is the 1 year specialized experience. If you don't have 1 year of doing this, it says at least the GS-12 level, so I'll ask him what he previously got paid. If you don't have 1 year of that on your resume, you will not get through the door. I mean, not even a little bit through the door. And unless you have this written out, almost like mirroring these words, your resume won't hit anything. So people come to us all the time and they say, oh, I keep applying for jobs and I'm not getting any. You have to learn how to read announcements. And the thing that I'm reading for in every announcement is this section right here, which says that you must have 1 year of specialized experience equivalent to, and then it describes for me word for word what that experience must be. So it's not a guessing game. It's just a matter of finding it. So down here there's another part to whether or not this guy can get this job. You see, I'm not asking him if he can do the job. That doesn't matter. What I'm asking him is if he has the qualifications on his resume to prove he can do the job. That's the thing about federal. It's not like private industry where people say, oh, I got a good feeling about you. Oh, I'm sure you can handle it. Federal is bureaucratic. It's all about the paperwork. It's all about legally proving that you can do the job. So right here where it says how you'll be evaluated, they literally mean that this is how an HR person is going to evaluate you. They tell you. The problem is that people don't know how to read for this in the announcement. So they're going to tell me exactly point for point what they're going to be looking for in my resume, and I'm just going to copy and paste it for my friend. So right here it says knowledge of the realm of foreign policy. Oh, that sounds cool, like Lord of the Rings. Ability to analyze and evaluate information, knowledge of Middle East politics and U.S. policy, plan, initiate, organize, coordinate activities in and outside government, devise and implement systems to monitor and evaluate programs. This monitor and evaluate.
I have a couple questions here for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Angela writes, does that mean 1 year of every single requirement? What if the applicant has 8 out of the 10 of the requirements?
Gosh, that's the golden question. You just came right to it, didn't you? The question is good. I mean, it's really tough. I think I would try and ask them if they had done those things maybe in their education and a volunteer position. They don't necessarily all have to be in the last job that you have. You could cobble them together from 5 or 6 different jobs. But if the answer is absolutely not, no, this person has never ever briefed anybody, never in their life, never ever ever, then yeah, probably they shouldn't apply to the job. I mean, you can't make.
They need to have most of it. They really do need to have 1 year of most of it. I've got another question here from Sean.
Okay.
He says that I should qualify being paid at the 12 level. Well, I don't know that being paid at the 12 level is the same. You literally have to have this experience that Emily's reviewing here. Angela says, would they not be considered if they didn't have 1 year of every single requirement? Would they not get best qualified?
Probably they would not get best qualified if they didn't have 1 year of every single requirement. So what HR does is they basically have 2 monitors in front of them. They have one computer screen that has these details right here. Basically, it's a backside version of what we're seeing on USAJOBS. So basically, they have this list right here, and on the other screen, they have resumes. And they look with their eyes back and forth between these things because HR specialists don't memorize these announcements, but they basically read for these 8 or 6 things. Could they miss it? Yeah. Could they miss a couple of those things? Probably. Are you competing against people who have a year in all of them? The chances are good, yeah. There's a lot of people who do have these skills. Now the question about whether being paid as a 12 for a year qualifies you for a 12, Yes, if you're doing that sort of work. So that's the basic way that, if, like, let's say you're coming from private industry and you weren't a GS-12, you don't know the federal thing, like you're working for a contractor, you would just want to look at the pay. So you would go up here and you would say, okay, you're working as a contractor, but what are you making? You're doing the same sort of work. What are you making? Are you making $70,000 a year? Then probably you could apply for this job because it's just under it. And so this would be like a natural step up. If you're making, you know, 77 to, you know, 120, then you definitely could apply because you're right there.
Sean's got another question. She says that many of the family members do, for instance, do the EPAP positions, but those positions are not at a GS-12. Sean, what does EPAP stand for? We're just learning the acronyms from you all. So, Emily, they're doing a job that is equal to the words that you have there, but they're not GS-12. But then Emily just said salary, if it's close to $70,000 a year, then that experience might be equivalent. So they're wondering if they're not GS-12s, can they qualify? It just depends on if they have this experience or not.
Yeah, definitely you can gain that experience in the military, in private industry, in whatever. Now the question is, can they apply to this particular job? Now this particular job isn't open to all U.S. citizens. So unless they have one of these things, they may not be able to apply. This particular job has a closed group that can apply.
Yeah, but I think that they can apply to that one, Emily, because of the family member.
I think most of them can. That's correct.
Right. That's right. And then Amy just wrote that the EPAP stands for Expanded Professional Associates Program, and that is a pay band 4, 5, 6. And so the salary level might work for this announcement. So this is a good announcement that you picked out here.
Oh, good. It is an interesting one. Let me show you exactly the language so that you know what we're talking about with this one-year specialized experience. It's in the if you scroll, so much scrolling, isn't it? These things are ridiculous. If you scroll down here to the questionnaire, see it says to preview questions, click here. The questionnaire is where they ask some of these questions. You're going to fill out the questionnaire when you hit apply online. You'll be asked to fill this out, but they let you preview it. So the first thing they ask you is about that education thing. We talked about that. The next thing they ask, so this is it right here. This is the language. It says, GS-12, choose the one answer that best describes your experience as related to the basic qualifications requirement. And it says, in addition to meeting one of the basic entry qualifications requirements listed above, okay, they're just making you reaffirm it, I have at least 1 year of specialized experience that has equipped me with the particular knowledge, skills, and abilities to successfully perform the duties of the position as described in the job announcement. And this is related to the work and position equivalent to at least the GS-11 level. Because, see, when you're applying to the 12, you have to have experience at the 11 level. And it says equivalent to. So a lot of people misunderstand that and think that you have to be a federal employee. But this program that you guys are talking about that's not the GS system, that sounds like it is totally equivalent. So, and then this answer right here, my experience does not match the choice above. If anybody does select this, my experience does not match the choice above, and then they select it again, let's say for the 13, they will be, their resume won't go anywhere. They're just going to get thrown in the trash. There's only one right answer to this question. This is a screen out, and they do it so that HR doesn't have to read your resume, but a lot of people get very confused by it. You have to have 1 year of specialized experience equivalent to the next lower grade level in order to apply for a federal job and get through. So let's take a look here and let's see if we can find any other jobs. Does anyone have any suggestions for types of jobs that we should search for? Oh wait, let me save this for my friend here.
Go ahead and type in the question box if you have a job title that you want Emily to look for. Amy wrote that accredited eligible family members could apply to this position for this status position. I was asking Amy, what is the salary range for the pay band FP 456? Because I don't know what the salary range would be, and it might be similar to that bottom line of 77,000 or that range that Emily was showing you, 77 to 100 or whatever that was. So it was a good announcement, Em.
Great. I'm going to search here for, while we're waiting for some suggestions, I'm going to search here for a keyword that's not actually a keyword, it's a number. So I love searching for keywords, and this USAJOBS, it uses Google Analytics. You can search for any word. And the best way to do it is to search for words using, and you can Google about how to do this, using the Google Analytics tools, which if you use a little hyphen, those two words get searched together, or you can also put them in quotation marks and those two words get searched together. So you can search phrases even here on USAJOBS, but you can also search by series number. So remember I said there's a number that corresponds to each job title. I'm going to go ahead and search for all of the jobs in the 300 family by just entering the keyword 0300. So 300 is our admin people, our program managers, program analysts. So let's go ahead and take a look here. I'm going to look for all federal employees. 2,035 jobs. Wow. Now just for a change of pace here, how many are U.S. citizens? 670. So you see there's a lot more opportunities for federal employees. And I can just switch that toggle back and forth if need be. So let's see here and take a look. I want to look for a pay grade, so I'm going to start filtering. There's filters all along the left-hand side here of USAJOBS, and I'm going to filter. I only want to look at, let's start with grade 7. So a person might apply for a grade 7 job if they have a bachelor's degree or one year maybe in college. They don't even necessarily need a bachelor's degree. There's a secretary, office automation. That's kind of boring. Oh, Hawaii. Yeah, administrative technical specialist. Whatever. Let's move to Hawaii, you guys. So here's a Department of the Navy job, a Naval Undersea Warfare Center in Keyport, Washington. That's the hiring organization, but the job itself is at Ava Beach, Hawaii. And so this job goes from $45,000 a year to $71,000 per year. But do you see it's not in the GS system where it says series and grade? We don't see that little GS that we saw last time. That's okay. That just means that this agency, they're using a different system. And you'll see all kinds of different letters there. But the NT is the one for the Navy, and NT is basically a band that goes from 45 to 71. So the series number, 0343, and this is an NT3. Okay, so who can apply? Current permanent federal civilian employees in the competitive service residing in Hawaii. Okay. Former permanent federal civilian employees with reinstatement residing in Hawaii. VRA, VEOA, and ICTAP. So look at that. That's mean. You got to move to Hawaii first. This is a very interesting set of criteria, and you will see it from time to time. It'll say residing in the state of Hawaii, and basically they do it because they don't want to pay any kind of relocation, but it's not really fair. It's not really current with fair hiring practices. Overseas, this is legal, but within the United States, this isn't really considered fair. So this is a questionable announcement to me, but anyway, it's the Navy, so they can do what they want, I guess. So let's take a look here. Administrative technical specialist, occasional travel, U.S. citizen, blah, blah, blah. Budget, validating data, okay, a lot of data, performance metrics. I just want to look at the 1 year specialized experience. Okay, right here it says, your resume must demonstrate at least 1 year specialized experience at or equivalent to the NT02, which they tell us is the same as GS58, or successfully completed a master's degree, or successfully completed 2 years of grad school leading to a master's degree, or obtained a JD, or have experience. So people get really intimidated at the beginning, and they don't see all these 800 ors. You really have to read carefully because your client definitely, or you or your friend might be able to apply if you really carefully read the ors. So right here, specialized experience must demonstrate analyzing budget using ERP. using the enterprise resource planning system, but then that's not really in this right here. So I would say that this right here is the main thing. And if you have ERP, that would be better. So you have to have 1 year of experience doing this. That is the red line for human resources. That's it. This is how they decide whether or not they throw out your resume or they read it more carefully. If you have 1 year in there, and it's okay if it's 3 different jobs that are cobbled together, but it has to be really, really clear because they actually do add up the years. They actually add it up. So if you are a student, let's say, and you've done 4 accounting internships over the summer, and that those 3 months at a time all adds up to 1 year together, they are going to add up the weeks and the hours per week that you worked. That's why our resumes always include hours per week, because they're adding up every day that you work to make sure it's 1 year, to make sure that you're qualified. So that's the administrative technical specialist job. Oh man.
So Emily, let me say something. So what she's doing here is explaining to you how to read a vacancy announcement, to really dive into the 5 or 6 pages to find the real critical, I call it the pot of gold, information that you would need to identify to tell your family member that their resume needs to match this little piece of information. And if the resume doesn't show this 1 year specialized and these particular set of skills, then they're probably not going to get best qualified. So this is one of the really important parts of our federal employment training is read the announcement, find the pot of gold, 1 year specialized statement, tell your family member by email. A lot of you just work with your clients by email, which we do too here at Resume Place. Copy and paste those words out like Emily did in that email for her friend. Send those words to your client and say, do you have this experience? And if so, where is it on your resume? And if so, I don't see it. And if so, put it in your resume, send it back to me, and let's talk. Right, Emily?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm doing. And I mean, I do that for my friends. I do that for my clients because people don't know how to read for this part right here. This is the most important part that we read for that State Department announcement. And he doesn't understand that. He probably doesn't even know what GS-12 is. So I would probably say for the GS-12 pay level, so he understands what that is. You know that I'm talking about a pay level. People understand that. They understand codes. Yeah, you just this is the nitty-gritty of how it's done. You just go in there and get your feet dirty. Here's another one, Management Analyst, Department of Defense. This is actually a really excellent career path, and this is a really good announcement because it's a 7-9. Management Analyst is a very, very popular job title in government. And you can see here, this starts at $43,000 a year, so this is a great job for somebody who's just kind of getting started with a bachelor's degree. It's not open very long, so this isn't a good example maybe for us for this class. This is a very typical amount of time that jobs are open these days. 2 weeks is actually kind of long. So you can see here that that the open period is good. Open to all sources, so this is a new way of saying anyone can apply. This is, I guess, the Defense Intelligence Agency way of saying that. This is a 0343 job. And they tell us about DIA. DIA is usually a pretty popular place to work. People like it. Assessment factors. So right here, they don't tell you the duties. To click this position's duties, click vacancy, and then you will get a 6-digit job opening ID number, and then you can scroll and hit a link. This is great. They're just making sure that you belong. If you can find the duties. Well, so intelligence agencies often don't list specific duties and jobs, obviously, because we don't want to tell people like what the person is doing. Oh, we're hiring someone to like listen in on phone calls in Afghanistan. No. So we sometimes don't see duties. But the assessment factors is great. They gave us that, so that's great. Consults with management on establishing sound organizational structures, manages and institutes quality assurance for databases. Oh, that's interesting. To ensure accuracy of all information. Analyzes gathered information and data, ability to design and conduct comprehensive analytic studies. So a lot of this work is about studies, so it would be good if you'd taken some kind of statistics or knew something about that. collect, analyze, and integrate complex information to develop options or logical conclusions for difficult issues. So this all sounds like really complicated. This sounds like these are the assessment factors that we need to use for presidents, basically. But you need to think about it. You need to think about these assessment factors always in terms of the pay. So this job starts at like $43,000 a year. So you don't necessarily need to be the world's leading expert on gathering information and data. So that's something I'm always keeping in mind.
Go back up to the top. Angela wants to see the top part of the announcement again.
Sure.
The title of it. She wanted to see what this was again. So when we come to teach the class in Budapest, we're going to spend 4 or 5 hours looking at resumes. We would love for you to bring a resume of a family member, somebody that you're coaching who would love to get a federal job either now or when they return back to the U.S. so that Emily and I can review those resumes and match them to an announcement. We have a really, really good tag team style of I look at the resumes, Emily goes to USAJOBS, finds a target announcement, she finds the keywords and puts them into the resume. We give the homework to the client. It's a wonderful markup. I mean, we work up a sweat doing this work, so it's really a very cool thing. If you'll bring a resume. Jeremy has a question here. Please just remind everyone to black out their name and personal information, their personal identifiable information if you bring in a sample resume. And we would really like you to bring real resumes for real people. I have many samples, but we want to help your clients. So please bring them in. And Carol has something here. I see. She's saying that there's so Emily, there's the pay band for Foreign Service is called FSFP 04, and she has given us here the equivalency of the Foreign Service. The FS4 is equal to the 11, and 10. FS5 is equal to the 9. FS6 is equal to the 7. So we'll print this out and put this in. We could put it in the PowerPoints, Em. We'll put it in the PowerPoints for their particular pay band. Okay, we'll do that. Thank you, Carol. We'll add it into the PowerPoints. So the GG79 is equal to the FSFP 56.
Great.
Foreign Service 56 is equal to the GG79.
Yeah,
and the salary would be somewhere.
Right, even across government, we do see, various pay structures like this.
Yeah.
So, does anybody else have any other questions about searching USAJOBS? I do think we're going to end about 10 minutes or 15 minutes early today. So now's a good time to ask any questions right now, just basic questions about searching on USAJOBS or analyzing those announcements for keywords.
Carol did say something here, Emily. Family members overseas are only scheduled as pay series 300 admin. Okay. So the family members that work in the embassies overseas are 300. Why don't you do a 300 search?
Yeah.
Well, the program analyst is 300.
Right.
Why don't you do admin?
That actually is what I've been searching is 300.
Open up an admin announcement.
Sure. Let's see here. So in 300.
Oh, 300 is no matter what kind of job they have. They just use the 300 as the announcement number for all of those. Okay, Carol, that's good to know.
So management, administrative, and clerical services.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see here. I don't see admin. Let me just look up.
Administrative specialist or something.
An administrative services assistant, administrative support specialist, administrative operations assistant. We're seeing less and less administrative specialists, I feel like. They call them administrative services specialists now. So let's take a look at this one. It's a GS9.
Look, it's in Linthicum Heights. That's 2 exits from me, where I'm sitting right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Status.
Never heard of Linthicum Heights.
So when it says security clearance, that doesn't mean that you have to have it in order to apply. You just will get it. Who may apply? Click here for more stuff. But let's take a look here. Boy, they couldn't even spell it right. This position is subject to DoD Priority Placement Program. Personal assistant advisory stuff. Support the director and deputy directors. This is a very much assistant to the director job. That's a really good job. Special projects. Management of administrative services. Managing the office. Word processing, obviously. GS9. Let's see what the specialized experience is. 1 year specialized experience at the GS7 level. Basically doing administrative functions. Wide range of analytical techniques. Studies, supposedly, and making recommendations on substantive operating programs and policies. Well, that's extremely generic, the language that they used. Knowledge, skills, and abilities, let's look at that. Analytical techniques, operating programs through a medium-sized organization. Going to be very hard to get this job unless you've worked for a pretty big organization. This is one of those sweet jobs. Of course, it only goes up to 9, so that's a bummer. People who are career assistants, really, you don't want to get stuck at 9 forever. So this is a pretty good job, not too far from DC. Anybody have any other questions about that?
No, nobody has any more questions here. So.
Okay, great. Let's see.
We're going to do this live when we're in Budapest. You'll be seeing us do more of this live with the actual announcements and matching the resumes. And what you're going to find when you start looking at resumes, again, now that you've had this tour by Emily, is that resumes don't match announcements. Hardly ever. It's just stunning. And that's what we're going to be doing in our classes, teaching you how to match a resume to an announcement and determine if it's qualified. I was just writing to one of my writers on my other computer here for an IT specialist, a networking announcement, and she wrote back to me and she said, well, I don't see networking on this resume. So, right. I don't think we have a match. So the match is so important to get best qualified. And it's the same thing whether it's private sector or federal. People just don't seem to take it seriously that the qualifications are so important. So no more questions yet.
This is a good announcement. Administrative specialist with Homeland Security. Now, that being said, it's Homeland Security, not one of the more popular agencies to work for right now, but they certainly are hiring. The job is from a GS 0301, that's the administrative specialist, and it goes all the way from an 11 to a 13. That's why I like this particular job. And look, it has 3 vacancies in the DC area. So this is a really nice announcement. Really, really nice. Who can apply? Status candidate. So here it doesn't list out a whole bunch of things, but actually those words mean the same thing as all those other words that we were reading before. So status candidate does include your family members. They're just using a different language to describe that there. So who can apply? And yeah, so here it's going to detail that more for us, who all those people are, and you see it's the same list of people as last time. Let's see here, U.S. citizenship, that's pretty much a standard for federal employees, U.S. citizenship.
Emily, everyone, I have to sign out here now, so I'm just going to put my phone on mute. Emily, thank you very much, and Emily, we'll talk to you next Thursday. So, Emily, you can complete the webinar here, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. So let's take a look at the duties quickly here. Conducts detailed analyses of routine and complex administrative functions, conducts detailed assessments, develops policies, responds to customer requests, supplies. These are all really generic duties. Specialized experience is to qualify for the 13 levels, starting salary $92,000. You must possess 1 year of experience equivalent to the GS grade level in the federal government. Equivalent to the GS 12 grade level. They shouldn't even bother to say in the federal government because people get really confused by that. could be in private industry. Developing and analyzing administrative policies and procedures, reviews, components, briefing materials. So remember, this is exactly the kind of language that has to be in the resume. And you see right here, substitution of education in lieu of experience can't be used for this grade level. So please don't tell us you have a PhD in administrative studies. We need somebody who's actually done it, which is great. That's something that I love about government. So let's go ahead down here and see if there's a questionnaire, and we'll just take a look at it real quick. How you'll be evaluated, ability to analyze facts. So there's two parts, the one-year specialized experience, and then this how you will be evaluated. Sometimes they're identical-ish, sometimes they're not. This looks to me extremely similar. Analysis was a big part of what we saw already. Policies and procedures we already saw. In a great announcement, this part would be identical to the other part, but you know, these things are really long. So the one-year specialized experience and these knowledge, skills, and abilities, those were the two parts that I emailed to my friend. Sometimes, you know, you can also take a look at the assessment questionnaire just to make sure that there's nothing in there that's like crazy or trying to throw the candidate out. The assessment questionnaire, let's see how many questions it is, this whole questionnaire. It has 27 questions, so that's not bad. And let's just take a look. These are some of the things that they're going to ask about. There are some components of this that somebody might not have based on what I saw in the one-year specialized experience. Bank card policies and procedures. I like how they put a capital B, capital C, like that's a thing. I mean, I have a bank card. Maybe that's what they call their actual cards. I don't know. I mean, federal credit card, advice employees on bank card. I don't know why they had to make that capital B, capital C. I think that most people know how to manage a bank card. So I guess if you have helped other people manage their banking cards in your office, you would put that there. So there's another thing, federal travel regulations. That's a pretty common. I mean, that's pretty much across the board for most admin jobs in government, is to do travel management, and the federal travel regulations are pretty normal, but you see it wasn't in the one-year specialized experience. So sometimes there are things in the questionnaire that aren't in the announcement, and I wouldn't get too hung up on it. The questionnaire is extremely important. We'll talk way more in depth about the questionnaire, but sometimes the questionnaire throws 30 questions at you. You see that here. Whereas the announcement is a little bit briefer. So in the beginning, I usually just focus on the announcement, excuse me, with people, and then later go to the questionnaire because I don't want to overwhelm people. Like if I sent my friend Ed all this stuff and then a questionnaire on top of that, he probably just wouldn't even read it. What I really want to know is if he has these basic qualifications. So I don't want to confuse the situation too much, but it is useful sometimes to just take a look and see if there's any questions that I would call like a ringer, where they're trying to surprise you with something. Okay. So let me go back here, and I'm going to go back again and search for, I'm going to search for the word analyst. And let's just see what analyst brings up. We have our program and management analysts here, operations research analyst. Let's take a look at this management and program analyst. So this is Department of the Treasury, IRS. They're always hiring. It's a 11/12 day shift. Well, that's good to know. In Ogden, Utah. That sounds beautiful. Let's see here. What does a management and program analyst do? You're an analyst, evaluator, advisor to management, analyze, evaluate, improve programs. What is the wage and investment division? Wage and investment objectives are to provide high-quality taxpayer assistance and enable taxpayers to transact and communicate electronically. Wage and income partners with private organizations to provide assistance to disadvantaged groups such as the elderly. Well, that's very interesting. So you might be working with contractors, I guess. I don't know why they would call it a wage and investment division. Working with the elderly. That's a little bit mysterious. I'd want to Google that. Okay, let's see here. Develops and interpret guidance. This is all extremely generic. This is what all management and program analysts do. So the reason that we look at lots of announcements is that ultimately as we get ready to apply for a federal job, we get ready to put that resume into USAJOBS, you'll find that there are patterns. So we have seen analysis over and over and over again in all of these 300 level jobs, not level, but series jobs. So management and program analysts all pretty much do the same thing. I know the management and program analyst keywords off the top of my head, and eventually if there's one series that you're applying to or a particular field of work, you'll start to learn the keywords too. You don't have to rewrite your resume every time. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but after you read one, after another, after another, after another, you'll start to see that that they're pretty much more or less the same. And then you learn how to write your resume to address many of them at once. So this thing of recommending operations, that's advising. So advising and recommending, really, really common set of goals. Developing plans and objectives, interpreting rules, that's very clear in all of these, identifying problems, evaluating, and research. So all of those things, you also often see the word studies, conducting studies. We don't see this in this particular announcement. Let's see if it's in the one-year specialized experience. One-year specialized experience is prepare evaluations, gather facts, reports, reviews, recommendations, blah, blah. So you can see this is a good announcement because what they said in the one-year specialized experience is pretty much the same as what you're going to do in the job. Sometimes they're very divergent and it's confusing because the bottom line for human resources is this section. You must have 1 year specialized experience. So that's really what we're looking for. And, or you could have a PhD, and then it tells us what you need for the GS-12 level. Okay, and then down here, how you'll be evaluated. And so once again, hidden in this how you'll be evaluated is another set of criteria, 2 sets of criteria. The first was that 1 year specialized experience. This is the other set of criteria, and it tells you right here that your rating is going to be evaluated on the competencies of the position. So we call that knowledge, skills, and abilities, planning and organization, decision-making, oral and written communications, and technical knowledge. So that's useful that they at least told us how they're going to be really evaluating the people for this job. And then once again, you can preview the questions if you want and get more information about the job. So hopefully this gave you a good overview of how we use USAJOBS and how we analyze the announcements. And this is really what I do. Although it seems like I'm just poking around, that's exactly how I help clients, is basically I just spend some time getting lost in USAJOBS, which sometimes job applicants aren't very comfortable doing. So I'll search for, you know, a number of keywords. To begin with, I searched for MENA, Middle East and North Africa. I can also just go ahead and search for Middle East. I put a little dash between it so that it would come together. And so I don't know what's going to pull something up, but Middle East, so this they say Africa and the Middle East, so that popped up, $128,000 a year. That's not my friend. Social science analyst. I'm not sure if that's the one we looked at or not. Professor of Middle East Security Studies. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Director of Internet Freedom. That sounds like a great job. Professor of Regional and Cultural Studies in Montgomery, Alabama. Let's take a look at that. So you just never know what's going to come up. So it's really interesting to allow yourself, in the beginning at least, while you're learning about how to apply for federal jobs, how to help people apply, to really just explore, to read these announcements. It's very fun. I call it shopping for a new life. As you get in here and you start to see, oh, you see the good things about these announcements. Sometimes you see the bad things. So this one's in Montgomery, Alabama. I've actually heard good things about Montgomery. This is $80,000 to $100,000 a year. That's a pretty unusual range. It's a 1701. That's in the education series. So if you wanted to search for something in education, you could search for 1700. Everything in the 1700 family is education. And this is a full-time accepted service term, so it's not to exceed 3 years. That's what that NTE stands for. So this is different than some of the other jobs we've looked at, but they don't want to get stuck with you for life. So let's see here. This is in the Air Force Culture and Language Center, and you get to be an assistant professor, and they would like for you to have done intercultural and/or interpersonal field research in the CENTCOM area of operation. Okay, let's see here, keep going. Teaching, delivering lectures, educating. And it says provide scholarly guidance to the development of pre-deployment training. So that's an unusual word for a professor of any sort, right? Pre-deployment training. You don't see that in most assistant professor job announcements. Research activities, advising student research, and establishing relationships. So this is interesting because a professor probably does not describe his duties this way, but these are very clearly what a professor does. So let's look at the qualifications required. Strong teaching record with adult learners, including experience in distant learning. So this is someone who has already been teaching quite a bit. Should have also extended grounded interpersonal field research in the Middle East. Great. And hopefully that was published somewhere. Theoretical, practical knowledge of the Middle East. Develop and deliver frameworks that students can employ anywhere they are deployed. Knowledge of and experience with the identification and protection of cultural property or heritage in times of conflict would be highly beneficial. Wow, that's really interesting. That's a ISIS type item, isn't it? Because they're just destroying everything. Military experience could be good, but is not required. So somebody who did work with UNESCO or something like that would be a really excellent applicant here. And you have to submit a cover letter, a CV, so this is different than most federal jobs. A curriculum vitae is, something professors use. And you have to have a PhD. Well, that's pretty unusual job announcement that if you want to look for it again later, it's called Professor of Regional and Cultural Studies. But it's just to show you that not all federal jobs are the same. And people will say, oh, I don't think I want to work for the federal government. And they don't even realize that the range of jobs that you can have in the federal government is extremely huge. Federal government is the biggest employer other than Walmart in America. So there are a lot of wild, different, amazing, cool jobs, and it's really fun to just get in there and read about them so that you can see what's available and so that you can transfer some of that excitement to people who are discouraged with the process, because the process is complex and we're going to get more and more into it. You saw a little preview of it there. So thank you guys so much. I don't want to keep you any further. If you just want to go ahead and leave your comments, we will get back to them. And if you have questions, we can email you directly. And again, I'm Emily, and I'll be teaching with Kathryn in Budapest. We're going to have a great time. We co-teach our classes together all around the world, and we're really, really excited. So if you have any additional questions just about our first introduction to USAJOBS and reading announcements, please do let us know, and we're gonna dive deeper the next time we meet. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.